Have you ever wondered what it feels like to step onto a plane that's making history, knowing you're one of the very first people to experience it? That's exactly what happened when the Boeing 737 MAX 7 welcomed passengers for its debut flight. And this wasn't just another new aircraft rolling out of the factory. This was a moment packed with engineering pride, human curiosity, and a quiet but powerful sense of redemption for one of aviation's most talked about families of aircraft. Stay with me until the end of this video, because by then you won't just know the technical details, you'll understand why this single flight matters for the future of flying, and why the MAX 7 is already becoming a favorite among pilots and passengers alike. The 737 MAX 7 may be the smallest member of the MAX series, but in aviation, smallest doesn't mean least capable. It's like the shortest runway at an airport, underestimated until you see what it can do. With its shorter fuselage and optimized design, the MAX 7 is built for flexibility. It can handle shorter routes that larger planes can't operate economically, yet still fly far enough to connect cities that used to require a stopover. But before we talk about the passenger experience, we have to understand the backdrop. Because for Boeing, the launch of the MAX 7 wasn't just a product release. It was a statement. Aviation fans already know the story. The MAX program faced one of the most difficult chapters in modern aerospace history. After 2 tragic accidents and a worldwide grounding, Boeing had to do more than fix technical issues. They had to rebuild the trust of airlines, regulators, and the flying public. Trust is a strange thing in aviation. It's invisible, but it's the only thing that makes stepping into a metal tube and cruising at 35,000 feet feel routine. Without it, every seatbelt click feels heavier. That's why the first passenger flight of the MAX 7 wasn't just about fuel efficiency numbers or marketing campaigns. It was about proving, in a very real way, that lessons had been learned, that safety was being pushed to the absolute forefront, and that every new aircraft rolling out would be better for it. And this is where the MAX 7's debut got even more interesting. This wasn't just a normal commercial service launch. It came with something that would make any tech-savvy aviation enthusiast lean forward: the integration of advanced AI systems into the passenger experience and operational workflow. Now, if you've ever watched a takeoff from the gate, you know that aviation is already a dance of precision. Crews, ground teams, flight decks, air traffic control, all moving in sync. But with AI, that dance becomes sharper, faster, and in some cases even safer. On this flight, AI wasn't replacing the human element, it was enhancing it. From pre-flight checks that could analyze system health in seconds, to cabin environment adjustments that happened without a single manual input, AI was quietly shaping the journey. For airplane lovers, this is the sweet spot, when human skill and cutting-edge technology meet in the cockpit and in the cabin. There's something deeply satisfying about knowing that an aircraft isn't just a product of engineering, but also of psychology. Yes, psychology, because aviation is not just about moving people from A to B, it's about how those people feel in the process. And Boeing knows this. They know that passengers on the MAX 7's first flight wouldn't just be evaluating the food service or the legroom, they'd be subconsciously measuring every detail. The sound of the engines during climb, the way the cabin lights transitioned as the aircraft reached cruise altitude, even the texture of the air, cooler, fresher, less dry than what some were used to. These are subtle cues that trigger feelings of calm, safety, and even excitement. Psychologists who study passenger comfort have found that the first 20 minutes of a flight can set the emotional tone for the entire journey. A smooth pushback, a quiet taxi, and a graceful liftoff create a sense of trust that lasts all the way to landing. On the MAX 7's debut, that early impression mattered more than ever. That's part of why the aircraft's quieter LEAP 1 billion engines are such a big deal. To the casual traveler, it might just mean being able to hear the safety briefing more clearly. But to the aviation enthusiast, quieter engines are the audible proof of progress. They signal improved efficiency, lower fuel burn, and an advance in acoustic engineering. Even the size of the MAX 7 plays into the psychology of comfort and confidence. A smaller aircraft can feel more personal, less overwhelming, and for some passengers, more reassuring. Combine that with the wider windows introduced in the MAX series, and you get something powerful, a connection to the outside world. Studies have shown that simply being able to see the horizon during a flight can reduce anxiety and improve mood. So when the MAX 7 lifted off for its first passenger run, it wasn't just carrying travelers to a destination. It was carrying Boeing's reputation, the trust of the flying public, and the hopes of aviation fans who wanted to see this chapter end with a win. Every detail, from the smooth climb to the cabin temperature, was a data point in that mission. By the end of this flight, passengers weren't just stepping off a plane. They were stepping into a future where aircraft can anticipate needs, adapt in real time, and create an experience that feels both modern and deeply human. And that's just the start of what makes this flight special. because in the next part we're going to go deeper into the heart of the MAX 7 itself, the engineering decisions, the design philosophy, and the little performance details that make pilots smile and passengers feel like they're flying on something truly refined. The Boeing 737 MAX 7 may be the smallest of its family, but the word small in aviation often means specialized. Its dimensions, about 56 meters in length with a wingspan of 35 to 92 meters, aren't just measurements, they're a calculated balance between performance and efficiency. This aircraft can seat around 138 to 153 passengers in a two-class layout, with room to stretch to over 170 in a high-density configuration. But numbers alone don't tell the story. For aviation enthusiasts, range is where the MAX 7 starts to surprise. Despite its shorter fuselage, it can fly approximately 3,850 nautical miles, further than the larger MAX 8. That means a carrier can operate it profitably on short domestic routes or long transcontinental services without a second thought. It's an aircraft that doesn't force the airline into choosing between reach and efficiency. It offers both. Part of that comes from the LEAP 1 billion engines. Developed by CFM International, these power plants are quieter and more fuel efficient than their predecessors. For pilots, this translates into a smoother climb profile and reduced engine stress over long hours. For passengers, it means less cabin noise, which has a measurable psychological benefit. Research on environmental noise shows that sustained loud sound, even below harmful decibel levels, can increase stress hormones like cortisol. Quieter cabins, therefore, don't just feel nicer, they actively help keep passengers calmer and more comfortable. The wing design is another subtle but crucial detail. The MAX 7 features advanced split-tip winglets, which reduce drag and improve fuel efficiency. To the eye of an enthusiast, these winglets aren't just functional, they're a signature, an instantly recognizable symbol of modern Boeing design. They also enhance climb performance, something that pilots appreciate on shorter runways or in hot and high conditions where air density works against lift. Inside the cabin, Boeing applied the same sky interior concept found in other MAX variants: sculpted sidewalls, larger overhead bins, and those signature LED lighting patterns. But here's where the psychology comes in. Lighting isn't just decoration. Boeing's lighting system can mimic natural daylight or soften into warm tones during evening flights, aligning with passengers' circadian rhythms. Studies in human factors engineering show that such lighting can reduce jet lag symptoms and create a sense of well-being during long flights. The windows are slightly larger than older 737 models, placed at a height that makes it easier for most passengers to see outside without leaning uncomfortably. This is not a trivial detail. Visual contact with the horizon during flight has been shown to reduce motion sickness by helping the brain reconcile inner ear balance signals with visual cues. For aviation lovers, it's also about preserving that irreplaceable view. The curve of the Earth at cruise altitude, the layering of clouds, the changing light as you cross time zones. The cabin layout itself reflects a balance between capacity and comfort. Airlines have flexibility in configuration, but Boeing's baseline design ensures adequate seat pitch and overhead storage. There's a psychological effect here too. Cramped, cluttered cabins can heighten anxiety and create a subconscious sense of confinement. Wider aisle space and organized storage help counter this by giving passengers a feeling of openness and order. From a performance standpoint, the MAX 7's shorter fuselage gives it a higher thrust-to-weight ratio compared to its larger siblings. That's aviation speak, for it accelerates and climbs like it means it. For pilots, this responsiveness is a joy. For passengers, it means shorter takeoff rolls and a sense of confident lift even on challenging runways. There's also a practical operational advantage. Airlines can use the MAX 7 on routes that are too short for bigger aircraft yet still benefit from the efficiencies of the MAX platform. The fuel savings are significant too. Up to 20% better fuel burn than the previous generation 737-700. Beyond the environmental and economic implications, there's a comfort element here as well. Aircraft with better fuel efficiency can often operate with lighter fuel loads for certain routes, improving climb performance and making for smoother handling in varying weather conditions. One of the quieter but more impressive features is the avionics suite. The flight deck combines traditional Boeing control philosophy with updated displays and automation support. To an enthusiast, this means the MAX 7 retains that Boeing feel, a human-centered cockpit design, while still integrating modern systems that assist in navigation, weather avoidance, and performance optimization. It's a careful balance of tradition and technology that appeals to pilots who value both. For the passenger who isn't scanning technical specs, these features may seem invisible, but they're not. They're felt in the way the aircraft handles turbulence, in the way it lands smoothly even in crosswinds, in the way it keeps a steady cruise without sudden changes in engine pitch. The human brain is wired to notice patterns, and when a flight feels consistent and predictable, the passenger's stress level naturally lowers. Then there's the psychological impact of knowing you're flying on the newest hardware. For enthusiasts, this is part of the thrill, stepping onto an aircraft fresh from the production line, knowing every system is state-of-the-art. For casual travelers, even if they don't know the specifics, there's a subconscious comfort in seeing a spotless cabin, smooth paint, and new fixtures. It signals care, precision, and reliability. Put all of this together, and the MAX 7 emerges as more than a downsized sibling in the MAX family. It's a precision tool in an airline's fleet, offering performance advantages that pilots respect, efficiency metrics that airlines rely on, and comfort elements that passengers, knowingly or not, appreciate. Every detail, from the curve of the winglets to the tone of the cabin lighting, plays a role in shaping the experience. And in aviation, those details matter, not just because they add up to operational success, but because they touch the way people feel when they fly. Whether it's the quiet hum of the engines, the openness of the cabin, or the confident liftoff from a short runway, the MAX 7 is built to leave an impression that goes beyond the numbers on a spec sheet. It's built to make every passenger, and every enthusiast watching from the ground, feel like they're witnessing the next step in the evolution of air travel. From the moment passengers stepped aboard the 737 MAX 7 for its first revenue flight, something felt subtly different. It wasn't about the smell of new cabin materials or the spotless upholstery. Though those were there, it was in the atmosphere itself. The air felt balanced, neither too warm nor too cold, with just the right level of humidity to prevent that dry, scratchy feeling many associate with air travel. That wasn't an accident. It was the result of AI-driven cabin climate systems, adjusting in real time based on passenger load, external conditions, and even predicted temperature shifts during climb and cruise. To most travelers, these adjustments are invisible, but to those who understand the science, it's an elegant example of human comfort engineering. Research in environmental psychology has shown that temperature and humidity control significantly affect perceived comfort and alertness. A few degrees too warm can make passengers restless, while too dry an environment can cause dehydration and fatigue. By allowing AI to constantly fine-tune these variables without waiting for manual crew input, Boeing is essentially smoothing out discomfort before passengers even register it. Once seated, another subtle effect emerged. The cabin lighting didn't just switch on, it transitioned. As boarding continued, warm-toned light filled the cabin, creating a welcoming, grounded atmosphere. During taxi, the lighting brightened slightly, matching natural daylight outside. At cruise, a softer blue-white replaced it, evoking the clarity of midday sky. All of this was controlled by algorithms that take into account not only the time of day and phase of flight, but also psychological research on circadian rhythms. This isn't just aesthetic. Studies show that gradual lighting transitions reduce stress during takeoff and landing, and can help mitigate jet lag by signaling the body to adjust naturally. Even the seat you're sitting in has a touch of AI influence. The ergonomic design wasn't based purely on static measurements. It was shaped by feedback from thousands of passengers across different airlines, analyzed to find the optimal seat pitch, cushion density, and recline angle for maximum comfort on flights under 5 hours. AI algorithms process this feedback, balancing the needs of different body types and travel preferences to arrive at a design that minimizes pressure points and improves circulation during the journey. In the background, another AI-driven process is constantly at work: predictive turbulence avoidance. While turbulence can't be eliminated entirely, the MAX 7 systems can receive and analyze live weather data, then suggest optimal altitudes or minor route adjustments to the flight crew. Pilots remain in control, but this extra layer of intelligence means many small bumps can be avoided before they happen. From a passenger psychology perspective, this is significant. Studies show that unexpected turbulence is one of the most anxiety-inducing experiences for flyers. Reducing its frequency, even subtly, can transform the perceived smoothness of a flight. Then there's real-time maintenance monitoring. Sensors throughout the aircraft feed data into AI systems that can detect potential issues before they become critical. On the ground, airline operations teams receive live updates, allowing them to prepare parts or maintenance crews in advance. For passengers, the effect is indirect but powerful. Knowing that the aircraft is under constant health surveillance builds trust, even if they're not consciously aware of it. For aviation enthusiasts, it's a fascinating step toward the concept of a self-aware airplane, capable of reporting and managing its own well-being. The AI influence isn't confined to in-flight operations. Boarding efficiency is also enhanced by predictive flow management. By analyzing passenger check-in data and historical boarding patterns, the system can recommend adjustments to boarding group calls, reducing congestion in the aisle. This means passengers settle in faster, the cabin feels calmer, and departures are less rushed, all of which reduce stress hormones and contribute to a more relaxed travel experience. One of the most intriguing applications is personalized onboard service. While this is still in its early stages, AI systems can process frequent flyer preferences, meal choices, and seating habits to assist cabin crew in anticipating needs. Imagine being offered your preferred drink without asking, or having your seat lighting adjusted to your usual reading preference on an evening flight. These small touches can feel almost magical to passengers, creating a sense of being recognized and cared for, even in a fully booked cabin. For enthusiasts, perhaps the most captivating part is how AI integrates seamlessly without overshadowing the human element. Pilots remain in command, cabin crew remain the face of hospitality, but AI acts as a silent partner, one that works tirelessly, without fatigue and without distraction, to make every detail smoother. In aviation psychology, this balance is critical. Passengers want to feel that humans are in control, but they also want the reassurance of technology that reacts faster than any human could when it comes to monitoring, predicting, and adjusting. And all of these touches, the steady cabin climate, the turbulence avoidance, the gradual lighting shifts, the efficient boarding, build toward a single outcome: emotional trust. Trust that the journey will be smooth. Trust that the aircraft is safe. Trust that their comfort was considered in every design choice. This emotional trust is what transforms a first-time flyer into a loyal traveler, and what turns a routine flight into a memory worth sharing. The 737 MAX 7's debut passenger flight demonstrated this trust in action. Passengers disembarked not only impressed by the quiet engines and the modern look of the cabin, but also with the feeling that the experience had been almost effortless. And that's the ultimate sign of success for both Boeing and the airlines operating the MAX 7. In aviation, the best technology isn't the one passengers talk about during the flight. It's the one they don't notice, because it's quietly working to make everything feel natural, safe, and just a little bit extraordinary. The first passenger flight of the 737 MAX 7 was more than a test of a new aircraft. It was a real-world demonstration of where commercial aviation is heading, toward a future that is not only safer and more efficient, but also more attuned to the human experience of flying. Every detail of this journey, from its AI-assisted operations to its careful cabin design, pointed to a shift in priorities. Technology is no longer just about engineering performance.
It is about shaping how people feel in the sky.
In the world of aviation, change rarely happens overnight. Innovations take years to develop, test, and certify, but when they finally arrive, they often signal broader trends that will define the next generation of air travel. The MAX 7's debut is one of those signals. Its performance, fuel efficiency, and AI integration point toward a future where aircraft are not simply tools for transportation but intelligent, adaptive environments. For pilots, the MAX 7 represents a reaffirmation of Boeing's commitment to preserving the human role in aviation, while surrounding it with smarter support systems. The AI functions on this aircraft are not designed to take control away from the cockpit crew, but to give them better information faster and in more digestible ways. In a profession where decision-making speed can mean the difference between a minor adjustment and a serious incident, this kind of assistance is invaluable. It's a quiet revolution in operational safety. From the passenger's perspective, the most important outcome is trust, and trust in aviation is built on consistency. When an airline can offer the same smooth, comfortable, and reliable experience across multiple flights, passengers stop thinking about safety in anxious terms and start thinking about flying as a normal, even enjoyable part of life. The MAX 7's ability to deliver that consistency flight after flight is perhaps its greatest long-term advantage. The environmental implications are just as significant. With lower fuel burn and improved aerodynamics, the MAX 7 can help airlines reduce their carbon footprint without sacrificing range or capacity. This is becoming a central factor in how passengers perceive airlines. Surveys show that a growing number of travelers, particularly younger generations, choose carriers based in part on environmental responsibility. Flying a more efficient aircraft becomes both a business advantage and a public relations win.